Even from a great distance, the purple-green glow could be clearly seen. The Void Master was not alone. This person's cultivation was unfathomably profound, and in the past year, he had already shattered the first bottle realm he was in. As he traveled, he had broken through dozens of realms in succession. Behind him, the middle-aged beauty who looked like a rustic village woman, along with her 4 disciples, appeared without a trace. If I'm not mistaken, this place must be the famous bottle realm that immortal Emperor Qinglin once created. According to rumors, this realm was formed when Qinglin, with his immense divine abilities, slaughtered 39 Rune Soul ancestors from the Foreign Rune clan and took their sacred treasure. He personally refined it to create a realm within a bottle. The effects of this realm are ominous, but based on the records in the Cultivation Alliance's ancient books, this bottle realm was a treasure that Qinglin used to collect immortal qi from all over the world. There are even rumors that through this treasure, one could break through the ceiling boundary formation surrounding the 4 great star domains. The Void Master slowly spoke while looking at the purple-green jade slip in his hand. The rustic beauty nodded, about to speak, when suddenly, the very realm they were in began to stir violently. A terrifying change swept across the sky, and even the earth shook with thunderous tremors. At the same time, a resounding voice suddenly howled from all directions, as if the heavens and earth were being torn apart, charging in without any restraint. The cry of the vermilion bird reverberated throughout the realm at that moment. Upon hearing this, the rustic beauty's face immediately changed drastically. Not only her, but the pink-clad woman behind her, who seemed to be the Kungsu Holy Maiden, also grew cold with fear. The Void Master's pupils contracted sharply. The vermilion bird's cry? The vermilion bird has awakened. Could it be the young one you mentioned, the one with the vermilion bird mark? The rustic beauty's face showed shock as she quickly replied, her voice tinged with anxiety. I saw him before. He only had the vermilion bird mark, and it was completely sealed. There's no way it could have awakened in such a short time. The awakening of the vermilion bird. This is a world-shattering event in the Four Saints sect. The Four Saints sect. A murderous glint appeared in the Void Master's eyes. He could not allow an awakener of the Four Saints to emerge. He would never forget the unimaginable intensity and pain when he fought the Four Saints sect for the Kungsu Star Domain. If not for the Cultivation Alliance obtaining most of the inheritance and relics from the Reign Immortal world, with the help of the Kungsu Holy Maiden at that time, the Alliance Star Domain might have been renamed the Four Saints Star Domain. Despite possessing such a powerful force, the Cultivation Alliance had yet to completely destroy the Four Saints sect. Thinking of the terrifying Four Saints made the Void Master's murderous intent grow stronger. If this person awakens and leaves the Immortal Emperor's cave mansion, leaving the celestial spirit heavenly realm, the Four Saints sect will certainly come looking for him. They'll take him back to the Four Saints Star for talent inheritance and offer protection. This must not happen. If he survives the awakening, I'll destroy him right here. The vermilion bird's cry, with its earth-shattering momentum, tore through the bottle realm, echoing with an absolute resonance. In the bottle realm's 99 layers, the vermilion bird's cry spiraled around each one. In a black sand desert, a man sat cross-legged. Dressed in black, he was surrounded by endless demonic aura that surged from the desert, constantly being drawn into his 7 orifices. He had been sitting here for a long time, almost from the moment he entered this place. He chose to sit in meditation and absorb the demonic aura. The concentration of demonic energy on his body was astounding. But at that moment, the vermilion bird's cry tore through the heavens and earth. The resonance caused a violent change, and the demonic energy flowing into the man's 7 orifices immediately collapsed with a deafening sound, spiraling outward. The man suddenly opened his eyes, his pupils glowing with eerie light as he fixed his gaze on the sky. As the vermilion bird's cry echoed, the man's eyes blazed with brilliance. A dragon-shaped mark subtly appeared on his forehead, unmistakably resembling a black dragon. He has awakened? If he survives, I might have a worthy opponent. The man remained silent as the mark on his forehead rapidly became shrouded in black mist, quickly hiding from view. Even those with higher cultivation would struggle to notice this mark unless they shared the same bloodline. Within this bottle realm, another who was absorbing demonic energy was Situ Nan. At this moment, Situ Nan seemed to have entered a holy land. The black sand in his realm had turned into dust, and bursts of arrogant laughter echoed across the sky. A vast vortex of demonic energy enveloped him. At the center of the vortex, Situ Nan's long hair floated eerily, and demonic energy permeated his entire body. As he absorbed the energy, the sand and stones around him shattered one after another, with each collapse causing more demonic energy to flood into Situ Nan's body. Delightful. Delightful. I never expected a place like this to have such demonic aura. This demonic aura is the perfect supplement for me. It's a pity I can't absorb too much. Once there's enough, I need to go find Wang Lin. I wonder how he's doing at this moment. Situ Nan's eyes flashed as he crazily absorbed the aura. At this moment, the cry of the vermilion bird reverberated through the world, and as its presence spread, the demonic vortex surrounding Situ Nan's body instantly collapsed with a loud bang. Situ Nan suddenly looked up, his expression twisted with rage and impatience, but then his eyes flickered, and he burst out laughing. This bird's cry contains Wang Lin's aura. It seems that little Linzi didn't die after all, making me worry for nothing. Inside this bottle realm, there was another person. This person was bald, walking across a black sand desert, a sinister smile on his face. With a sudden movement, he tore through the realm and appeared in a different dimension. Though it still looked like the black sand desert, the realm had already changed. The desert solitary smoke painting should be within these realms. The ancient demon tower, though I, Beiluo, haven't fully recovered, I have regained about 80% of my strength from back then. This time, you won't have the chance you did before. Beiluo's right eye narrowed, and within his pupil, 7 demon stars, exuding thick demonic aura, spun and scattered. The ancient god star was located at his forehead, the ancient demon star in his right eye, and the ancient demon itself resided in his left eye. The 7 demon stars in his right eye spun rapidly, and just as Beiluo lifted his foot to step into the next realm, the cry of the vermilion bird resounded like thunder. The sound reverberated through the heavens, and instantly, demonic power rippled around Beiluo's body. He halted, suspended between the two realms, his gaze falling upon the sky. The vermilion bird of the 4 sacred beasts of the sealed realm. Beiluo fell silent for a moment. The demon stars in his right eye faded, and with a single step, he disappeared without a trace. Inside the bottle realm, everyone was shocked by the cry of the vermilion bird, and various thoughts began to stir in their minds. But even outside the bottle, the atmosphere was rippling with disturbances. Within the immortal emperor's cave mansion, the figure in the magic mist on the bridge suddenly had his eyes flash with eerie light. Intense demonic aura roared from his body, rapidly spreading in all directions. The sinister black figures in the small river beneath the bridge trembled in fear as the demonic aura spread from the person on the bridge. The white jade bottle in front of the figure in the mist shook violently, and waves of the vermilion bird's cry echoed within it. In an instant, the sound reached its peak, and it seemed to want to break out of the bottle. Damn it! How did a sealed realm vermilion bird get in here? A voice, filled with gritted teeth, came from within the mist. As the figure in the mist raised his right hand, countless demonic auras howled toward him, transforming into a demonic shadow. With a single flick of his finger, the shadow roared and sped toward the white jade bottle, disappearing into it in the blink of an eye. In the bottle realm, where Wang Lin was located, a sea of flames erupted from the ground, rushing toward the phantom of the vermilion bird that materialized in front of his brow. This vermilion bird was about 10 zhang in size, completely fire-red. As its wings spread, they reached dozens of zhang. Flames swirled around its tail, enhancing its imposing appearance, especially its eyes, which exuded an icy coldness. When they met Wang Lin's gaze, they seemed identical. The fire sea on the ground spread and converged, and in an instant, it was all absorbed by the vermilion bird. It was hard to tell if the vermilion bird was spitting out the fire sea or if the fire sea was being drawn into it. From a distance, the fire sea that spread across the land surged, howling from all directions. Suddenly, the vermilion bird's cry echoed again, this time carrying a hint of joy. As the sound rang out, the entire realm where Wang Lin stood began to fill with fire. The flames from millions, even tens of millions of miles away, crazily converged. The range of these flames was vast, and as they gathered, a scorching heat wave erupted. The intense temperature within them could slaughter all living beings. Under this unimaginable heat, Wang Lin's skin, already cracked from the high temperature, was immediately blasted apart, revealing fresh flesh. However, it quickly cracked again. It felt as though all the flames in the world had poured into his body. The terrifying heat made his body radiate an intense temperature. If this had happened before, it would have reduced him to ashes, but now, with the awakening of the Vermilion bird, he was able to endure it. His eyes gleamed brightly, and his primordial energy surged wildly within him. He absorbed a massive amount of the incoming heat, and gradually, the temperature within his primordial energy reached an unimaginable level. This heat could destroy even the most resilient of bodies, and this was one of the challenges of the Vermilion bird's awakening. In the Four Sacred Sect, there had been many who tried to awaken the Vermilion bird lineage, but the vast majority of them were burned to ash in an instant, unable to withstand the awakening's immense heat. Within the Four Sacred Sect, an ancient saying was passed down through the generations, which captured the essence of the sect's awakening legacy. The Sacred Beast Awakening. The black tortoise is the first, the white tiger is the fiercest, the azure dragon is the strongest, and the vermilion bird is the hardest. Within the Four Sacred Sects, the Black Tortoise Sacred Sect does not lack for awakened ones. Their awakenings are, relatively speaking, the least dangerous. The awakened ones of the White Tiger Sacred Sect, however, are often individuals consumed by an overwhelming fury. Once awakened, they can become beings capable of slaughtering even immortals. The Azure Dragon Sacred Sect, however, is the strongest of the four sacred sects. Their awakened ones are incredibly rare, but once awakened, they are almost guaranteed success, eventually ascending to become the Azure Dragon Sacred Emperor. In the Kungsu Star domain of years past, had it not been for the strange disappearance of the Azure Dragon Sacred Emperor and the Vermilion Sacred Emperor facing his third heavenly decay, unable to unleash his full power, the outcome of the conflict with the Cultivation Alliance could very well have been different. The Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect is the hardest sect in the four sacred sects to awaken from. Even the Azure Dragon Sacred Sect cannot compare. While awakened ones exist, very few can endure the many tribulations and eventually become sacred emperors. Unless one possesses extraordinary talent, such as the legendary Vermilion Bird Spirit Body, a body that has accumulated tremendous fiery power through constant cultivation, allowing them to activate the awakening marks from within. This way, when the Vermilion Bird awakens, they can withstand unimaginable heat and survive. Without such a spirit body, internal awakening is impossible. No one relying solely on external forces to awaken has ever succeeded in the history of the Vermilion Bird sect. And now, Wang Lin is a typical example of an external force awakening. As the sea of flames gathers, the searing sensation grows stronger and stronger. If not for his ancient god physique, he might have already turned to ash. No one relying on external awakening has ever succeeded. However, in the history of the Vermilion Bird sect, no ancient god has ever received the Vermilion Bird mark and endured the awakening with their ancient god body. At this moment, Wang Lin, with his 5-star royal ancient god physique, endures the unimaginable heat. His body repeatedly cracks and breaks, only to regenerate again and again. Gradually, his ancient god physique fully adapts to this intense heat. The sea of flames spreads across countless miles of land, with flames surging from all directions. As the Vermilion Bird absorbs the fire, a massive fireball quickly forms. The moment this fireball condenses, it immediately envelopes both the Vermilion Bird and Wang Lin. At that moment, the Vermilion Bird screeches once more, its crimson body sweeping through the air, immediately separating from Wang Lin's forehead and wrapping around him. In the blink of an eye, it transforms into a lifelike totem, covering the upper half of Wang Lin's body. At this moment, Wang Lin's cracked body, combined with the bright crimson Vermilion Bird totem, creates a breathtaking and stunning sight, especially his bright eyes, which resemble star scars. However, No one is destined to witness this scene. In an instant, the fireball engulfs Wang Lin and grows stronger, emanating a destructive force capable of shattering the heavens. With the integration of the surrounding endless sea of flames, the fireball grows larger and larger. It is hard to describe the scene before them. The earth is covered in surging flames, layers of which merge into the fireball. If viewed from the sky, at a sufficient height, one can clearly see that the surrounding firestorms are contracting. The endless sea of flames shrinks rapidly around the fireball. As more and more flames merge into the fireball, the speed of contraction reaches its peak. Wherever the sea of flames contracts, a white mirror-like earth emerges. The fireball grows larger and larger, nearly touching the heavens. Even from a great distance, it is clearly visible. The firestorm on the earth gradually diminishes, and in an instant, almost all of it vanishes, condensing into the immense fireball. At this moment, in Wang Lin's domain, there is no flame other than the fireball. The endless flames from the azure rain heavenly incineration art unleashed by the Stygian sea are all within the fireball. Rolling black smoke billows from the sky, and, in an instant, it howls down from above, surrounding the fireball. The sight before anyone's eyes would shake their soul. Especially when the thick black smoke wraps around the fireball, thick magic aura quickly descends from the endless sky, taking form as a hideous demon figure with a single horn on its head. The figure is enormous, nearly sweeping the heavens and the earth. Its eyes, filled with slaughter and bloodlust, rush toward the fireball. However, as it senses the immense heat emanating from the fireball, it hesitates, retreating slightly, its gaze filled with even more bloodthirsty intent. Inside the enormous fireball, Wang Lin closes his eyes. His vermilion bird totem radiates a fiery red glow. A great amount of fire from the fireball surges toward him, continuously being absorbed and integrated into his body. This causes Wang Lin's body to grow stronger with every passing moment. The intense heat spreads, even causing his primordial energy to undergo its final transformation, now containing terrifying heat. In that instant, Wang Lin's tightly closed eyes suddenly snapped open. As his eyes flickered open and shut, his skin exploded, with countless shattered fragments of it sweeping outward, revealing the red flesh beneath. An unimaginable storm erupted the moment Wang Lin opened his eyes. The vermilion bird mark on his body detached and spun rapidly around him. The massive fireball that enveloped Wang Lin shrank at an astonishing speed, all of it rushing into his body. Outside, the demonic shadow stirred, and demonic aura spread throughout the heavens and earth, following the shrinking fireball. The giant fireball rapidly contracted in mere moments, the sound of crashing thunder coming from within, before it finally erupted with a thunderous explosion, merging entirely into Wang Lin's body. The entire desert, the realm Wang Lin was in, was left devoid of any fire in that instant. Wang Lin's figure, after absorbing the last wisp of flame, once again revealed itself in the world. His red skin, the vermilion bird circling around him, and his fiery bright eyes made him resemble the Vermilion sacred emperor in that moment. As the flames dissipated, the demonic shadow screeched as it lunged at him. Before it could even approach, an overwhelming wave of demonic aura surged, forming a terrifying black mist that sought to tear Wang Lin apart. But just as the shadow drew near, a fireball erupted from Wang Lin's eyes, and with its sudden appearance, a terrifying sea of fire exploded from his body, powerful enough to obliterate heaven and earth. Wang Lin had devoured too much fire. The sea of fire that erupted was the useless excess energy that had accumulated in his body, too harmful to remain, and thus was released in an explosive outpour. The inferno within contained not only the blazing heaven power, but also the overwhelming force of the vermilion bird's sacred flame. It immediately spread outward in a ring, expanding rapidly. The fire was so vast it could obscure the sky and cover the earth. As it expanded, the demonic shadow sent by the mist collided directly with it. A piercing scream echoed from the shadow as its eyes filled with terror, and it rapidly retreated. But it was too late. As it withdrew, the sea of fire roared like a tidal wave, submerging it in the oncoming shock. The shadow's screams rang out, and its demonic aura quickly dispersed. Only a faint trace of it tried to escape, soaring into the sky to flee. But it had clearly underestimated the sea of fire's power, the heat and intensity within it, after merging with the Vermilion bird's awakened sacred flame, had surpassed even the blazing heaven power. As it spread, it not only burned the realm Wang Lin was in, but also the entire bottle realm. The fire howled, and wherever it passed, the very void shattered with a thunderous crash. The collapse wasn't isolated. It spread as the fire expanded outward, as if scraping away a layer of space, leaving everything in its path in ruins. In the wake of this collapse, another realm within the bottle was revealed. Inside this realm, vast black sand was sweeping across the land, but it was immediately overwhelmed by the surging flames, which struck outwards in all directions, causing another collapse. And so, this realm crumbled with a resounding boom. Boom, boom, boom. The earth-shattering sounds echoed as one realm after another within the bottle shattered. After each collapse, the flames surged in, only to destroy the next realm. The demonic shadow, now desperate to flee, managed to escape one realm, but was unable to escape the 99 other realms. After the 13th realm collapsed under the fire, it was caught up by the sea of flames, perishing with a final, horrific scream. Yet, this was still not the end. It was just the beginning. With each violent collision, the bottle realm seemed to ignite a storm of flames, and one realm after another shattered. At this moment, another realm collapsed, and the furious roar of Situ Nin echoed from within. Who dares to stop my cultivation? But just as his voice emerged, he let out an eerie cry, and his realm was shattered by the sea of fire, revealing the next. Ling Tianho stood frozen, staring at the sky, which seemed to be torn apart by a giant hand. An endless sea of fire descended from above, its scorching heat making his scalp tingle. Without hesitation, he rushed out, fleeing from the flames. The might of the fire was unstoppable. It broke through all barriers, crashing through realm after realm. The collapse continued, and the roar of destruction reverberated across the heavens and earth. Tian Yunzi's figure appeared above the crumbling sky. He stood in silence, stunned by the sight before him. As the sea of fire surged, he stepped aside. That single step allowed the inferno to roar past him. At that moment, not only Ling Tianho, Tian Yunzi, and Situ Nan, but everyone who had entered this place across the 99 realms within the bottle realm, felt the terrifying power of the collapsing fire sea. As one realm after another fell, more figures appeared within the boundaries of collapse. The three masters of Dust Path, the Gourd Elder, the Man in Black, and even the Void Master. Yet the collapse did not cease. With each thunderous boom, it drew upon the power of every realm, merging into a terrifying, uncontrollable inferno. This ever-intensifying firestorm surged toward the end of the bottle realm, to the final realm. Destroy that realm, and one could escape the white jade bottle. There was no time to examine the yellow crystal. Just as it was stored in the storage pouch, the raging sea of fire, fueled by heaven-scorching power, hurtled toward the last realm of the bottle realm. The fire engulfed the remaining 98 realms, fusing their collective power into an uncontrollable force of flames. With a thunderous crash, it slammed into the barrier of the final realm. The explosive sound echoed throughout every corner of the bottle realm. A blistering wave of heat howled outward, saturating the entire space. This sea of fire now surpassed even the blazing heaven flame art unleashed by the Stygian Sea. Even Wang Lin, having absorbed tremendous amounts of flame, had to channel the unusable residual fire through his ancient god physique to create such an effect. It was impossible to reproduce the technique again, unless another unending sea of fire existed, giving him enough time to absorb and reach his peak once more for another release. At this moment, the crimson hue on Wang Lin's body gradually faded, returning to normal. Yet the Vermilion bird totem on him remained vivid as blood, enveloping him in an indescribable aura. The most striking part was the tail feather of the totem. It followed the curve of his neck and settled at his brow, seemingly merging into his black hair. From afar, it looked as if purple flames had ignited within his hair. The awakening of the Vermilion bird didn't elevate his cultivation, but transformed his primordial energy. The intense heat it now carried made all his divine arts terrifyingly powerful. His ancient god physique, continuously adapting to the flames, could now unleash fire with every gesture and movement. Although still at the mid-glimpse of Nirvana stage, Wang Lin had become the strongest among all at that level. Coupled with his ancient god physique and overwhelming flame power, even late pure Nirvana cultivators would find his body and fire arts daunting to contend with. However, as his ancient god physique was only at the 5-star level, it couldn't offer him too much of an edge. Exerting the strength of the mid-pure Nirvana stage was already its limit. To overpower someone in the late pure Nirvana stage, Wang Lin would need his cultivation to reach that level too. After all, in the second step of cultivation, each minor realm held vast differences. Even with the aid of his ancient god physique, certain chasms, like that between the mid and late stages of pure Nirvana, could not be crossed so easily. Even the blood ancestor had been stuck at the mid-pure Nirvana stage for ages without progressing, which showed how difficult it was. In truth, unless one possessed extraordinary fortune, reaching the late pure Nirvana stage, or even its peak, was a monumental task. Beyond insights into intent, mastering the laws of heaven and earth was critical. Late pure Nirvana required a fusion of intent and laws, a fusion that would peak at the perfect pure Nirvana stage, ushering cultivators into the dream of nearly every practitioner. Shattered Nirvana, the highest known realm of cultivation. Back in the bottle realm, the sea of fire howled, crashing again and again into the final realm. Each impact caused the bottle realm itself to tremble. The endless inferno, like a furious beast, battered the final realm. With a thunderous boom, that realm finally collapsed in an instant. It was as if the sky had been torn apart, shredded like paper into countless fragments that recoiled outward. And beyond the shattered heavens, a figure emerged from the ruins of the last realm. It was ancient demon Beluo. In his right hand, he held a gray scroll. A powerful wave of immortal chi surged from it, rushing across his entire body, as though the scroll had a will of its own, unwilling to be controlled by the ancient demon, struggling to break free. Beluo's icy gaze pierced the remains of the final realm, sweeping across everyone below, before finally locking onto the one deep within, Wang Lin. At this moment, the scroll in his right hand radiated an even denser immortal chi. As it spread with a howling wind, a faint roar echoed from within. Beluo let out a cold snort. He clenched his right hand fiercely, and the 7 demon stars above his right eye flared at once. A surge of boundless demon power erupted instantly, coursing from his arm straight into the scroll. Soft cracking sounds reverberated. It was as if all seals on the scroll had been broken. A roar of unwilling fury burst forth, but in the next instant, a green light engulfed the scroll, covering it entirely. The roar vanished. The scroll, once saturated with immortal chi, now had all its immortal chi extinguished, replaced by an overwhelming demonic aura. Its color shifted from gray to green. All of this transpired in the blink of an eye. The entire sky dissolved. The 99 realms inside the bottle realm collapsed instantly, as if the heavens and earth were newly born, chaos reigniting, and thick mist sweeping across everything. That mist churned and billowed, merging with the sea of fire. Like boiling oil poured into flames, it exploded in an instant, transforming into a more intense shockwave that surged out beyond the bounds of the 99 realms. The merging of the sea of fire and the mist unleashed waves of searing heat. Amid the impact, the entire world trembled with deafening rumble, the blast rushing straight toward the highest reaches of the void. On the wooden bridge of the Immortal Emperor's cave mansion, the white jade vial before the mist-shrouded figure glowed crimson, radiating intense heat. Its wooden stopper quivered violently, as though a tremendous power was hammering against it from within. The figure in the mist narrowed his eyes, a cold gleam flashing in them. Raising a withered right hand, he pointed at the stopper. A gust of demonic aura howled out, shooting toward the stopper and instantly merging with it. But just as the demonic aura was about to enter the white jade vial through the stopper, a thunderous boom erupted within the Immortal Emperor's cave mansion. At the very moment the sound echoed, the wooden stopper shattered, exploding into countless fragments that shot upward like a fountain. The force of the eruption was immense, creating a fierce wind that blew away the mist around the figure by 3 full feet, revealing a blurred silhouette within. A set of pitch-black armor became visible, inscribed with intricate, sinister patterns. It radiated a chilling demonic aura that enveloped the world. His shriveled fingers were flung upward as the stopper burst. 2 ominous eyes gleamed from within the helmet of the armor, locking onto the white jade vial. As the stopper shattered, a crimson flame burst from the vial's mouth, followed by a wave of unimaginable heat. It was a scene beyond belief, as if the vial had transformed into a volcano, erupting with torrents of fire that surged outward in all directions. The flame's heat was so intense that the wooden bridge beneath the mist-shrouded figure was instantly engulfed in a sea of fire. Even the small river beneath the bridge evaporated in moments, rising as thick white steam. The riverbed cracked and dried, and the ferocious beasts within it howled in agony as they turned into clouds of blood mist. The wooden bridge was incinerated in an instant, reduced to ashen remnants. The mist-shrouded figure stood in a courtyard, surrounded by pavilions and, not far away, a grove of emerald bamboo. Once a refined and picturesque setting, it now twisted with thick, demonic aura. The pavilions grew dark and eerie, the bamboo turned black, and even the grass on the ground morphed grotesquely. Whether this place was once an immortal realm or now a demon domain, in that very moment, it was swallowed entirely by the sea of fire, everything reduced to ash. Even the mist around the figure was violently blown back dozens of feet, revealing his full form. Beneath the dark purple-black armor, long silver hair drifted. The armored figure rose into the air the moment the flames consumed the place, his eyes filled with cold malevolence. And at the end of the flame erupting from the white jade vial, a figure suddenly stepped out. Bald-headed, holding a green scroll in his right hand, it was the ancient demon, Beluo. A faint smile curved on his lips as he looked at the armored man and shook his head. Once one of the 4 guardians under the immortal emperor, now reduced to one of the scattered demons refined by the ancient demon. How tragic, Broken Blade. Following Beluo, Tian Yunzi, Ling Tianho, Voidmaster, Situnan, and the rustic beauty all appeared in succession. Then came the gored elder, the black-robed man bearing the black dragon mark, the 3 masters of Dust Path, Detu, and others, all emerging from the vial's mouth. And then, the moment Wang Lin appeared, he immediately noticed that nearly everyone around him had their gaze fixed on him like a lightning strike. Voidmaster's expression remained unchanged, but upon seeing Wang Lin, a murderous intent flickered within his heart. Ling Tianho's expression became complicated. The more he interacted with Wang Lin, the more he felt he could not be underestimated. Tian Yunzi slightly furrowed his brows, but quickly relaxed. As for the others, their expressions varied. Whether it was the rustic beauty of the village woman, her 4 disciples, or the man in black, their gazes on Wang Lin were all different. Even the demon cultivator in armor shot a cold, sinister glance at Wang Lin. Everyone here knew where the terrifying sea of fire had originated. For Wang Lin, who was previously of little concern to anyone, had now caught everyone's attention. The sea of fire still surrounded them, burning everything to ash. The moment everyone arrived, the demon cultivator in armor showed a bloodthirsty smile, extending his arms outward in midair. At once, a dense demonic aura erupted from his armor. 2 black whirlpools formed above his arms, rising into the sky. The demon cultivator's smile was eerie, and as his voice echoed, he lifted his right foot and stomped heavily down toward the empty space below. With a loud crash, the ground where they stood immediately exploded in a violent rumble. Everything was reduced to ruins, but at that instant, cracks began to appear on the surface of the ground, spreading rapidly. In no time, these cracks merged into a massive fissure, and with a series of deafening bangs, the ground collapsed. It was as though the demon cultivator's step had shattered the earth itself. As the ground collapsed, an enormous suction force erupted from below, as if another world lay beneath. It was a massive vortex that spread beneath the entire ground. Horrifying, eerie howls echoed from within, resembling the wails from a ghost realm. Your arrival was predicted by Lord Tagia countless years ago. The immortal burial ground, where Qing Lin once laid the fallen immortals to rest, was specifically prepared for you. I await you below." The demon cultivator's wild laughter reverberated through the thick mist. As the ground crumbled, the overwhelming suction force seemed like a giant mouth, greedily devouring everything in its path. The demon cultivator was the first to be sucked into the vortex. His laughter faded as he was pulled further away. The sudden turn of events shocked almost everyone present. No one had anticipated such an unimaginable crisis after exiting the bottle realm. Under the terrifying pull, it felt as though a giant hand had grabbed hold of everyone, dragging them toward the vortex below. The three masters of Dust Path, being the closest, had no resistance at all. They vanished into the vortex as shadows, their startled cries echoing as they were pulled in. The two struggled slightly, but was soon dragged down as well. As for the four female disciples by the side of the rustic beauty, they were the weakest in cultivation. Wang Lin had previously suspected why the village woman had brought them to such a dangerous place. At this moment, except for the pink-clad woman who might be the Kungsu Holy Maiden, the other three girls turned pale with fear and showed no resistance at all. They were all sucked into the vortex. One of the girls, due to the immense force, exploded into a mist of blood as her delicate body shattered with a loud thud. Her essence spirit, panicked, shot out from the blood mist, but in that instant, a swarm of vengeful spirits flew out of the vortex, surrounding her essence spirit and devouring it relentlessly. Beneath the vortex, even the sounds of her struggles seemed to be sucked away, vanishing into nothingness. Wang Lin, too, felt the unimaginable force pulling at him. Fortunately, having once lived in the abyss of the land of demonic spirits, which also had a similar force, he wasn't panicked. As the force enveloped him, his primordial energy suddenly surged, and he stamped his foot downward with great force. Immediately, a massive sea of fire surged from his feet, rushing upward. Though the moment the sea of fire appeared, it was immediately sucked into the vortex. Wang Lin's body was propelled forward by a distance of 10 zhang. Ancient demon Bailuo chuckled, undisturbed by the enormous suction force from the vortex. He took a step forward, his figure vanishing in a flash, and appeared far away. His right eye flashed with demonic radiance, and a dense demonic aura spread across his body. He lightly blew a breath forward, and a ripple formed before him. With a single movement, Bailuo stepped into the ripple, looking back at the struggling group in the vortex, especially at Wang Lin. He smiled and said, "Young friend Wang Lin, you've led me into this place. I won't owe you anything. Let me offer you a way out." This place was once the immortal burial ground of immortal Emperor Qing Lin, who was renowned throughout the immortal realm. The number of immortals who died here is incalculable. If you're unfortunate enough to be sucked in, you're as good as dead. Your only choice is to escape as quickly as possible. Boloro's voice echoed within the whirlpool, and Wang Lin, silent, slapped his storage pouch. Immediately, over a dozen great swords flew out, rotating in the opposite direction around his body, forming a countercurrent. His primordial energy surged, filling the space with flames, and together with the reversed sword rotation, he resisted the pull. But at that moment, a roar suddenly burst from the whirlpool. This roar was deafening, shaking the very earth. The instant it emerged from the whirlpool, it caused the pull to intensify. That was not all. More importantly, the roar carried an impact that shook the hearts and minds of everyone who heard it. As the roar spread, countless runes materialized within the whirlpool. These runes were blood red, and some even seemed to be connected to pieces of flesh, as though they had just been ripped from someone's body. The moment Wang Lin saw these runes, he gasped. He immediately recognized them. These were all the third eye ancestral runes of the immortal remnant clan. Deep within the whirlpool, as the roar and the runes appeared, a blurry figure slowly rose. The moment it appeared, an overwhelming murderous aura surged forth. The strength of this aura was so intense that even Ling Tianho trembled. The feeling it gave him sent chills down his spine. Even Tian Yunzi could not have evoked such a reaction. Not even Void Master could. This had nothing to do with cultivation. It was purely a soul-shaking tremor, as if encountering a natural enemy. The blurry figure was vaguely identifiable as a woman. She slowly rose into the air, gradually revealing a face devoid of eyes, its surface covered in bloodstains, with 2 streams of black blood flowing from the empty eye sockets. Her eyes had been gruesomely gouged out. Even Tian Yunzi, upon hearing the roar and seeing the true form of the blurry figure, was struck with shock. Could it be her? Voidmaster's pupils constricted as he stared intently at the woman at the whirlpool's end. Without hesitation, he immediately exerted all his cultivation, struggling to rise alongside the rustic beauty and the woman in pink. It's her. It must be her. She was sealed here by immortal Emperor Qinglin. Damn it. The rumors said she should have long been shattered in soul, but immortal Emperor Qinglin didn't kill her. Voidmaster's calm demeanor vanished the moment he recognized the blurry figure. His thoughts raced, and a chill ran through him. The Cultivation Alliance knew a lot about what happened in the immortal realm, but Voidmaster, as a member of the Elder Council, was privy to secrets that others could not fathom. At the instant the blurry figure emerged, Elder Sun, who had been struggling against the pull, was suddenly struck by the murderous aura. With his cultivation, he could not withstand it. His primordial energy abruptly halted, and his body was immediately sucked into the whirlpool. Fear flashed in his eyes as he neared the vortex, but just as he was about to be consumed, a star-marked mongoose emerged from his robes, coldly glancing at him. The mongoose leapt from the elder's body, stepping on him to propel itself upwards, resisting the pull with its own agility. Its eyes shone brightly as it looked toward Wang Lin. At this moment, Beloro, observing the blurry figure rising slowly, his right eye flashing with a demonic gleam, muttered to himself, "An old friend. I thought she had just gone missing, maybe in seclusion healing, but I never imagined she was sealed here by Qinglin. Qinglin, he's strong, so strong. If not for the heavenly realm's collapse and his injury back then, I and Taegyo wouldn't have dared to covet him." Staring at the blurry figure, Beloro's eyes showed hesitation. Should I save her? He suddenly blinked, his gaze flicking to the space behind the blurry figure, his face instantly showing shock. Qinglin is ruthless. To seal her with this. With my strength, even at my peak, I couldn't save her. I'd probably be dragged down with her. Forget it. Abandoning the idea of rescuing her, Beloro's figure within the waves flickered and slowly disappeared as he left the area, using his unique methods. At that moment, as the blurry figure ascended and the murderous aura spread wildly, everyone present was enveloped. Situ Nan formed hand seals, and with his divine art, his figure flew into the air. But instantly, the blurry figure slowly raised her right hand and gently waved it upward. Boom. The murderous aura in the area immediately peaked. As the whirlpool swept through, a violent storm of bloodlust erupted, and Ling Tianho's body trembled as he was pulled downward. Along with him was Situ Nan. Wang Lin, rising into the air, suddenly stopped. Without hesitation, his primordial energy spread, exploding into a sea of flames that surrounded his body. As over a dozen greatswords spun around him, he charged towards Situ Nan. Amidst the terrifying suction force and the horrific, blurry figure ascending ever higher, everyone, except those being pulled into it, was using their divine abilities, desperately trying to struggle free from the grasp of the force. Only Wang Lin's figure streaked like lightning, heading straight for Situ Nan below. Situ Nan halted his entire primordial energy, a bitter smile on his face as he saw the blurry figure getting closer and closer. Muttering to himself, he sighed, "I've got such great fortune. Damn it. Am I really going to be stuck here this time?" As he spoke, he saw Wang Lin charging directly toward him. At this moment, Wang Lin's primordial energy surged wildly. His entire body was engulfed in a sea of flames, but as he charged, the massive suction immediately swept through him, devouring the fire surrounding his body. As Situ Nin grew farther away, Wang Lin's gaze sharpened. With gritted teeth, he unleashed a mighty shockwave of primordial energy from behind, propelling himself forward at an unimaginable speed, like a meteor diving downward. With this burst of speed, he quickly closed the distance, and within moments, Wang Lin was nearly 1,000 feet from the blurry figure. He reached out with his right hand and immediately grasped Situ Nan. His entire primordial energy surged, and with a massive explosion, he propelled himself upwards. Beneath Wang Lin, The blurry figure's hollow eyes immediately began to bleed black blood, which spread into the surrounding whirlpool, transforming into a vast sea of blood. The whirlpool roared, surging upward with overwhelming force. The blood whirlpool seemed like a massive open mouth, roaring with a strange howl as it continued to charge upwards. The distance of 1,000 feet rapidly shortened by more than half. Wang Lin gripped Situ Nan in midair, his primordial energy rapidly circulating, and an endless sea of flames erupted around him. With a swift gesture of his left hand, more than 10 reversed greatswords shot into the flames. As they spun, they stirred the fire, creating a fiery vortex that pushed back the surrounding bloodlust and murderous aura. As the fire blazed, cracks echoed through the air. The fiery vortex formed a solid barrier, preventing the sinister energy from invading, as any trace of it could disrupt the flow of primordial energy. Although Wang Lin's primordial energy was infused with the Vermilion bird's sacred flame, he still dared not take any risks. Harnessing the reversed power, the fire vortex helped Wang Lin break free, pushing forward 100 feet, heading upwards. With a low shout, he threw his right hand into the air. Situ Nan's body was immediately thrown forward, surpassing Wang Lin. At the same time, Wang Lin injected his primordial energy into Situ Nan's body. Wang Lin's primordial energy, infused with the Vermilion bird's sacred flame, brought immense heat. The cold stream of malevolent energy in Situ Nan's body had frozen his cultivation, causing his energy to stop. With Wang Lin's fiery energy surging through him, the cold stream began to melt, and his energy resumed. Situ Nan's cultivation was no weakling, and with Wang Lin's help, he forcefully activated his primordial energy. The sound of internal explosions rang out, and with a mighty roar, he soared into the sky. If the blurry figure had been at its peak, one strike of its malevolent energy would have made it impossible for either Wang Lin or Situ Nan to break through. But now, after being sealed in this place for countless years, and with Wang Lin's Vermilion bird's sacred flame purifying his power, they finally had the chance. Situ Nan's long hair whipped in the air as his primordial energy began to flow once more. Though still slightly sluggish, there was no time to heal in such a perilous situation. The moment he leaped into the air, he didn't hesitate. With his right hand, he formed a hand seal and grabbed down fiercely. 5 golden beams shot from his 5 fingers, heading straight for Wang Lin below. In an instant, they transformed into a huge net that trapped Wang Lin. Situ Nan had used all his remaining strength, and with a forceful pull, he yanked upwards. Wang Lin, who had previously descended to such a depth to save Situ Nan, struggled upwards, but as he threw Situ Nan to safety, his body slowed down. Below him, the black blood sea rumbled closer, now less than 100 feet away. The stench of blood almost struck him in the face, clearly reaching his senses. Especially in the blood sea, countless miserable souls lingered, their elongated bodies moving with the blood whirlpool. They locked their gaze on Wang Lin, desperate to drag him into the sea and trap him in eternal suffering. The ghastly expressions of the souls were clear, sending a chill down Wang Lin's spine. A surge of malevolent energy from the blood sea poured forward, spreading rapidly towards Wang Lin. At this moment, Situ Nan's large net descended, enveloping Wang Lin entirely. With a low growl, Situ Nan forcefully yanked, and Wang Lin's body immediately propelled upwards, using the momentum. The two of them alternated, helping each other, and gradually increased the distance between themselves and the blood sea. This was the result of the cooperation between Wang Lin and Situ Nan. If it were anyone else, such a seamless synergy would have been impossible. Although it seemed simple, in reality, without complete mutual understanding, trust, and impeccable timing, they would never have managed to escape. A single mistake or a slight hesitation would have sealed their doom. After all, in moments of crisis, most people would prioritize their own survival. Especially at times when one had to risk their own life to pull the other out, few cultivators could achieve such a level of selflessness. When Situ Nan was in danger, Wang Lin would do anything to save him. Similarly, when Wang Lin was in trouble, Situ Nan would not hesitate to intervene, even if it meant facing the precipice of life and death. As Wang Lin and Situ Nan helped each other escape, Ling Tianho's body, still reeling from the earlier surge of murderous aura, collapsed and fell. However, Ling Tianho's cultivation was far superior to Sidu Nan's. When he fell, he immediately regained some balance. But the proximity to the Blood Sea vortex left him with little chance. If his cultivation had fully resumed, he might have had a chance to escape, but now, he was hanging by a thread. At that moment, Tian Yunzi, standing above the vortex, furrowed his brow in contemplation. With a slight sigh, he flicked his sleeve, and in the blink of an eye, shot down towards the vortex below, just like Wang Lin had done earlier. His speed far exceeded Wang Lin's, and in an instant, he was by Ling Tianho's side. He grabbed Ling Tianho and shot upward. The Blood Sea roared as a vague figure emerged from its center. With a dry arm raised, it reached out lightly. Tian Yunzi's face changed. Without a moment's hesitation, a gray light flashed between his brows. In that light, the figure of Tian Yunzi in gray robes materialized. As soon as he appeared, Tian Yunzi pointed forward with his right hand, and sharp, high-pitched wails immediately filled the air. Countless strands of murderous aura appeared out of thin air, swiftly surrounding them, like swirling smoke. From a distance, it seemed as though the murderous aura was endless, overwhelming in its intensity. The murderous aura continued to converge around Tian Yunzi, forming into a concentrated mass that shot directly towards the vague figure's right hand. In the instant Tian Yunzi appeared, the figures of the rustic beauty with the village girl and the seemingly kungsu holy maiden in the Void Master's company narrowed their eyes. They whispered to each other, gray-robed. The gray-robed Tian Yunzi's expression was dark and cold. With a simple flick of his right hand, he calmly uttered a single word. Collapse. At his command, the endless murderous aura merged into a single force and suddenly shattered with a thunderous roar. The shockwave propelled Tian Yunzi and Ling Tianho upwards. The Blood Sea recoiled at the sound, and the souls within it were violently torn apart in screams. Ling Tianho remained silent, offering only a cold glance at Tian Yunzi for his timely rescue. Tian Yunzi ignored Ling Tianho, and, as they ascended, a sharp shriek suddenly came from below. The vague figure raised its head, and with an unimaginable speed, it shot upwards, its right hand reaching out to grab Tian Yunzi. The shriek carried with it a terrifying force, causing Wang Lin and Situ Nen to be struck by the shockwave. They immediately coughed up blood and hastened their escape. Meanwhile, others were already rising into the air, channeling their primordial energy to resist the impact. Tian Yunzi's gaze sharpened as he watched the rapidly approaching vague figure. His eyes flared with a red light, and a cold smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. He raised his right hand and pointed upwards, slowly uttering, "Murderous realm." At his command, a deafening rumble echoed from the void where they were. In the space above the vortex, a massive, gaping crack appeared, and waves of murderous aura erupted from it, flooding the area. There was so much murderous aura, it far exceeded the earlier waves, surging out in innumerable torrents. In mere moments, the entire area was filled with this overwhelming murderous aura, countless times more than before, millions, even billions of them. The overwhelming force of this aura spread over the Blood Sea vortex. If the auras had not been able to merge with each other, the area would have been unable to contain it. This unimaginable scene made Wang Lin gasp in awe. The voice of the gray-robed figure echoed in his mind, cold but domineering. If there are billions of murders, even the power of a collapsing planet can be resisted. The immense slaughter, something Wang Lin had never witnessed before, shook his mind to the core. The overwhelming sensation was beyond words. Below, the immortal burial whirlpool was large, but compared to this endless aura of slaughter, it seemed slightly smaller. At this moment, the slaughterous aura gathered and intensified as Tian Yunzi, wearing gray robes, raised his right hand, causing the two forces to merge. A whirlwind formed from the billions of slaughtering auras suddenly appeared before everyone. Its size was so vast it seemed capable of breaking through any barrier here. As it continued to compress, a terrifying pressure, so overwhelming it made everyone's scalps tingle, surged forward madly. Slaughter overwhelming the heavens. Tian Yunzi muttered under his breath. The mighty slaughter whirlwind roared away, sweeping the immortal burial whirlpool along as it charged directly toward the blurry figure. Boom, boom, boom. Thunderous roars echoed like the sound of a divine thunderclap, and it seemed as though there was no pause. Under the relentless assault, the sea of blood collapsed once more, expanding outward. Even the immortal burial whirlpool trembled. Riding the shockwave, Wang Lin and Situ Nin sped up and broke free of the whirlpool, floating in midair. Their faces pale, they gazed downward. It wasn't just the two of them. Even the gourd elder showed an expression of astonishment, while the man in black, bearing the black dragon mark on his brow, also narrowed his eyes sharply. Tian Yunzi. Void Master inhaled deeply, locking his gaze on Tian Yunzi in gray robes. He would never forget that this very figure had once entered the Cultivation Alliance alone and defeated countless Alliance powerhouses, even elders, some of whom were no match for him. He had personally killed one of the elders back then, standing tall and becoming a new member of the Elder Council. What's even more terrifying about him is the fearsome rule power that allows him to calculate everything, foresee the future. Though his slaughter is terrifying, it is that all-seeing gaze, the ability to see through everything, that back then made the Cultivation Alliance regard him with great caution. Void Master stared at Tian Yunzi in gray robes, and then glanced at the true body of Tian Yunzi, who had saved Ling Tianhou. If my senior brother hadn't been wary of him and sacrificed his lifespan to accelerate his third heavenly decay to break this man's Tao heart with a great divine technique, the rule power within Tian Yunzi would have remained flawless. His Tao thought would have collapsed when experiencing the second heavenly decay, unable to recover. Otherwise, the terrifying level of Tian Yunzi today would be unimaginable. Even if not at the third step, he's definitely not far from it. Within the immortal burial whirlpool, at the moment the sea of blood collapsed, the blurry woman inside raised her right hand gently. Instantly, a purple-golden rune flickered between her brows. With her wave, the furious slaughter whirlwind suddenly froze, followed by a loud explosion as it disintegrated, and all the billions of slaughtering auras vanished without a trace. This sudden turn of events shocked everyone. Tian Yunzi's eyes flashed, and his brows furrowed. He was about to continue using his divine abilities when the true body of Tian Yunzi, who had saved Ling Tianhou, spoke calmly. Return. Tian Yunzi glanced at the true body with a cold gleam in his eyes, but, without a word, retreated. He transformed into a gray beam of light, merging into the true body's brow and disappearing. At this moment, the true body of Tian Yunzi had already flown out of the whirlpool and hovered in midair. Apart from those previously sucked into the whirlpool, everyone else was now present. But no one spoke. All eyes were focused on the slowly rising woman below. As the woman drew closer, Wang Lin could clearly see that her feet were bound by a crimson-red, tendon-like strand, which stretched taut as she ascended. The star-marked mongoose, which had been lost during the collapse, flew out from the whirlpool and landed on the woman's feet. It sniffed the crimson-red strand a few times, its eyes lighting up, before lying motionless atop it. When she was about 200 feet away, the woman stopped. She lifted her head, her hollow eye sockets seemingly staring at the crowd. Dark blood still flowed from her empty eyes, dripping from her sharp chin. Rune Clan, are there any descendants remaining? A hoarse voice, imbued with an eerie power, slowly emerged from her lips. Though her voice was hoarse, it was strangely pleasant to hear, echoing in the air, lingering for a long time. In response to her sudden question, everyone fell silent. After a long pause, Void Master respectfully bowed his hands and said, "The Rune Clan still has many descendants." The woman fell silent, letting out a soft sigh. She had come from the deepest part of the immortal burial to ask this one question and to meet one person. Her hollow eyes, seemingly filled with an invisible gaze, fell upon Wang Lin. "Summon the immortal guard that is fused into your shadow." Wang Lin remained silent. With a single thought, the phantom of Ta Shan materialized behind him, stepping forward and coldly glaring at the woman. "It's been so long since I last saw anyone from my clan." A hint of melancholy crossed the woman's face. With a beckoning motion of her right hand, Ta Shan's body was instantly pulled toward her, completely beyond his control.